Good morning to everyone, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. សន្និសីទនេះគឺធ្វើឡើងនៅជាភាសាអង់គ្លេសប៉ុន្តែមានការបកប្រែដោយផ្ទាល់ជាភាសាខ្មែរដើម្បីទស្សនិកជនក៏ដូចជាអ្នកស្ដាប់ទាំងឡាយអាចតាមដានបាន Well, first of all, I would like to keep today's press briefing brief and concise for the simple reason that one of our Secretary of State, His Excellency Kung Pok, made daily press briefing to you, except yesterday, of course. And secondly, it's because the joint communique provides already all information you need to know about the outcome of the 55th AMM and related meetings. After the briefing, of course, I will open the floor for Q&A session. Question in Khmer will be answered in Khmer, and likewise, question in English will be answered in English. I will structure my briefing in two major sections. One, the meeting's outcome, and two, the challenging issues we have faced. To begin with, I am proud to say that we have successfully hosted the 55th ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting and related meetings. We were very honored and grateful to have Samdech Daecho Prime Minister presiding over the opening ceremony of the 55th AMM on 3rd of August this year. As you may be aware, this series of meetings is the second major event of the year that Cambodia has hosted after the ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting retreat in February, under this year's chairmanship's theme, ASEAN Act, Addressing Challenges Together. I'd like to note that this is the first AMM organized in physical formats since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. Vietnam, who was the chair in 2020, couldn't make it. Last year, Brunei couldn't make it neither. We managed to bring together foreign ministers and representatives from 38 countries, not just from our region, but from different corners of the world. Over the course of these 3-4 days, I will say 3.5 days, we have reviewed the progress made thus far to strengthen ASEAN community building, advance the regional integration, and enhance our cooperation with external partners for the rest of the year and beyond. We also exchange views on regional and international issues of common concern and interest. You can imagine that it was not easy to host almost 20 meetings back-to-back over these 3.5 days, especially when some meetings have hot political issues to deal with. Our team have tried very hard and has taken the extra mile to make necessary arrangements to ensure that everyone was comfortable. I can say that they did a great job. Now, without further delay, allow me to go to the first major point, which are the outcomes of the meeting. So what are our key deliverables? We had 19 meetings, including the 55th ASEAN, the plenary session and the retreat session, followed by the ASEAN Post-Ministerial Conference with 11 dialogue partners. The 23rd ASEAN +3 Foreign Ministers meeting. The +3 are China, South Korea, and Japan. The Foreign Ministers meeting of the 12th East Asia Summit and the 29th ASEAN Regional Forum, plus the interface with ICHA and the meeting of the Shanghai Commission. The Shanghai is the Southeast Asian Nation Weapon-Free Zone. We also had a trilateral meeting with Turkey, as well as some bilateral encounters. I think I had 13 bilateral meetings, and I will have 2 more the next hour. We have adopted and endorsed around 30 outcomes documents ranging from political, security, economic, social, cultural, and external relations. You can refer for details the joint communique of the 55th ASEAN and the other 4 ASEAN chairman statements for the PMCs. The 11 meetings with the dialogue partners, the APT Foreign Ministers meeting, EAS Foreign Ministers meeting, and the ARF Foreign Ministers meeting. Let me now cover some community building. We commended the operationalization of the COVID-19 ASEAN Response Fund and stressed the timely implementation of the ASEAN Travel Corridor Arrangement Framework. ASEAN also committed to ensuring the implementation of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, the one that has entered into force early this year, to enhance ASEAN attractiveness for trade, investment, and global supply chain. We have underscored the importance of narrowing the development gap through the IAI Work Plan 4 for the term of 2021-2025 and enhancing regional connectivity through the Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025. We note the completion of the 2 fact-finding missions related to Pillar 2, the economic pillar, and Pillar 3, the social-cultural pillar, and we look forward to the recommendation for the ASEAN Secretariat from the ASEAN Secretariat regarding East Timor accession to our ASEAN family. Now let me move on to cover some social, cultural, and cross-cutting aspects. We underscored the importance of the 4th industrial revolution when the COVID-19 pandemic accentuated the urgency for digital transformation, and we welcome the support extended by our dialogue partners to prepare ASEAN in embracing the fourth industrial revolution, including initiatives to enhance ASEAN capacity and readiness. We also discussed the need to undertake tangible cooperation between ASEAN and the wider region within the framework of the ASEAN Outlook on the Indo-Pacific on the four key areas of cooperation, namely maritime cooperation, connectivity, the UN Sustainable Development Goals 2030, and economic and other possible areas of cooperation. As far as our external relation is concerned, we have a growing interest from countries and regional organizations in collaborating with ASEAN. This year, 6 new countries, namely Denmark, Greece, Netherlands, Oman, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates, have officially acceded to the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation in the Southeast Asia by signing the instrument of accession to the TAC. This brings the number of state parties to 49. I think it's not bad for an organization like ours. Speaking of expanding ASEAN outward-looking approach, let me draw your attention to 2 new applications, Brazil and the UAE, United Arab Emirates. The ASEAN Secretariat has made positive recommendations for both applications, and we have conferred them the status of sectoral dialogue partnership with ASEAN. With regard to the outcome of the PMC with 11 dialogue partners, I would like to highlight the following outstanding development. On ASEAN-Australia dialogue relationship, we adopted the annex to the current plan of action to implement the ASEAN-Australia Strategic Partnership 2020-2024, which marked ASEAN and Australia commitment to further deepening practical cooperation under the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. On ASEAN-Canada dialogue relation, we encourage Canada to carry out commemorative activities to celebrate the 45th anniversary of the dialogue relation, and the meeting note Canada's continued desire to elevate ASEAN-Canada relation to a strategic level. On ASEAN-China dialogue relation, we reiterate our shared commitment to continue implementing the ASEAN-China Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. The meeting has adopted the annex to the current ASEAN-China Plan of Action 2021-2025, and now we are looking forward to the signing of the agreement on the ASEAN-China technical cooperation. On ASEAN-EU dialogue relations, we plan to convene the ASEAN-EU commemorative summit on 14 December this year in Brussels. On ASEAN-India dialogue relation, we were encouraged by the continued discussion on India's proposal on the establishment of a comprehensive strategic partnership with ASEAN and looked forward to the establishment of an ASEAN-India comprehensive strategic partnership in November 2022. On ASEAN-Japan dialogue relations, we supported Japan's proposal to host the ASEAN-Japan Commemorative Summit for the 50th year of our relationship, and especially for the 50 years of ASEAN-Japan friendship and cooperation in Japan next year. We supported various activities for this celebration. On ASEAN-ROK dialogue relations, we welcome the inauguration of the ROK new administration, and we took note of the ROK intention to establish the comprehensive strategic partnership with ASEAN. On ASEAN-Russia dialogue relation, we commended Russia's support for ASEAN centrality and ASEAN leading role in the evolving regional architecture. On ASEAN-US, we plan to elevate the relation to the level of a comprehensive strategic partnership at the 10th ASEAN-US Summit this November. On ASEAN-UK dialogue relation, we have to note that this is the first meeting between ASEAN and UK after ASEAN has accepted the UK as its 11th dialogue partner. The meeting adopted the ASEAN-UK Plan of Action to implement the ASEAN-UK Dialogue Relation 2026 as a key outcome document to guide us to effectively advance ASEAN-UK relations. On ASEAN-New Zealand Dialogue Relation, we welcome New Zealand's initiative to deliver the ASEAN Trade Academy this year, which aims to build the capacity of young trade negotiators from ASEAN and New Zealand. Besides the progress made in ASEAN Plus One framework, I wish to touch on the other ASEAN-led mechanisms, including the APT, ASEAN Plus 3, the EAS, and the EARF, as follows. On the ASEAN Plus 3 cooperation, may I remind that ASEAN Plus 3 is ASEAN plus China, Republic of Korea, and Japan. We adopted the successor APT cooperation plan for 2023-2027. This work plan will continue to serve as a guide to further enhance the APT cooperation over the next 5 years. In fact, it covers a wide range of cooperation with focus on public health, security, and socio-economic recovery, particularly promoting MSMEs, micro, small, medium enterprises. On East Asia Summit, the EAS, we discussed more on what we could do to expedite a sustainable post-COVID-19 comprehensive recovery for the region and beyond. We also looked forward to the adoption of the next EAS Plan of Action 2023-2027 to build on the existing Plan of Action and further enhance the EAS practical cooperation over the next 5 years. There were some hot issues that were discussed as well, including particularly on the Myanmar situation, the Russian-Ukraine war, the DPRK, and the latest cross-strait issue. On ASEAN Regional Forum, we emphasize the importance of enhancing the ARF relevance and effectiveness in addressing the increasing complex challenges amidst the continuously evolving regional landscape. The Forum has adopted 3 documents, namely the ARF Statement to promote peace, stability, prosperity through confidence-building measure and preventive diplomacy. This statement is a clear reflection on what the ARF serves for. The second document is on the ARF framework on inclusive processes for women, peace, security, and youth. Peace and security agenda in confidence-building measure, preventive diplomacy, and conflict resolution. The third document is the ARF statement on reiterating commitment to preserve Southeast Asia as a nuclear-free, weapon-free zone. Now let me talk about the key challenges issue we have encountered during the various meetings. I think this is the most interesting issue that will be the topics of question. As you all have read the joint communique and already knows what are the outcome of the meetings. As the ASEAN chair this year, Samdech Prime Minister PRAK Sokhonn has said that Cambodia has received 3 hot stones for our chairmanship, namely the Myanmar crisis, the South China Sea, and the situation in Ukraine. Just during the meeting, we received a 4th hot stone when the US Speaker of the House paid a visit to Taiwan, which has led to a heated discussions about the cross-strait relation. You understand that when I'm speaking about the cross-strait, strait means Strait of Taiwan. On Myanmar, the meeting commended the utmost effort of the ASEAN chair and the special envoy in assisting Myanmar to find peace, stability, and a return to normalcy. However, there was deep disappointment with the recent development in Myanmar, especially with the execution of the 4 opposition activists, which took place despite the personal appeal for the execution to be reconsidered by Samdech Prime Minister and the pleas of other ASEAN member states and ASEAN partner countries. We urge Myanmar authority to take concrete action to effectively and fully implement ASEAN 5-point consensus reached at the ASEAN leaders meeting on 24 April 2021 back in Jakarta. We also strongly and urgently call on all party concerns to desist from action that would only further aggravate the crisis, hinder peaceful dialogue, and endanger peace, security, and stability. Foreign ministers reaffirmed their commitment contained in the 5-point consensus to help Myanmar return to the path of normalcy, with the understanding that durable peace and national reconciliation can only be achieved through an inclusive political solution that is Myanmar-owned and Myanmar-led. As for the South China Sea, we could say that this year the discussion was not as tense as the previous one. Nevertheless, all parties reaffirmed the importance of maintaining and promoting peace, security, stability, safety, and freedom of navigation in and overflight above the South China Sea. We underscore the importance of the full and effective implementation of the DOC, or the Declaration of the Conduct of Parties in the South China Sea, while noting this year marks the 20th anniversary of this document of the DOC. We were pleased with the positive momentum in the ongoing negotiation of the Code of Conduct in the South China Sea, the COC, particularly the recent resumption of in-person negotiation in Siem Reap, despite the challenging COVID-19 situation. We hope to complete the second reading of the single draft negotiation text of the COC by the end of this year. On the situation in Ukraine, in terms of substance, there were obviously divided positions, especially during the EAS and the ARF meetings. Those discussions were frank, candid, lively, but nevertheless, the exchange of views on this topic were heated. On the cross-strait relation, many countries raised concern about the recent development, which could destabilize the region and lead to miscalculation, confrontation, and unpredictable consequences among major powers. On this point, I also wish to highlight the issuance of ASEAN Foreign Ministers' statement expressing our concern and calling for utmost restraint. Let me conclude my briefing by reaffirming Cambodia's and ASEAN's stance to address together the challenges of common concern and interest. Our aim is to bring peace and prosperity to the region, to sustain the dynamism of our collective efforts with a strong sense of togetherness, and to maintain the momentum of the ASEAN community building efforts. This is what our ASEAN Chairmanship this year is all about: harnessing the spirit of togetherness based on ASEAN centrality, unity, and solidarity to achieve regional and global peace, stability, security, and sustainable development. Lastly, it was indeed a great honor and achievement for Cambodia to have successfully hosted the ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting and related meetings during this critical time of great uncertainties in the region and the world. I thank you for your kind attention. Now, I'm ready to answer to your questions.
Good morning, sir, and thank you for that very comprehensive briefing. The ASEAN foreign ministers have kicked the can down the road on Myanmar. The junta have been asked to show significant progress on the 5-point consensus plan by the November Leaders Summit. What options are on the table if there continues to be zero progress? Are foreign ministers recommending to the leaders to kick Myanmar out of ASEAN or bring in sanctions? How will ASEAN show that it means business and isn't hiding behind empty threats?
Can you repeat your last sentence?
How will ASEAN show that it means business and isn't hiding behind empty threats?
Behind?
Isn't hiding behind empty threats.
Thank you. Well, the position of ASEAN has been clear since last year when all 10 leaders of ASEAN went to Jakarta and adopted the 5-point consensus. If you look at the 5-point consensus, there are 3 big priorities to achieve. First one is cessation of violence. The second one is the delivery of humanitarian assistance to those most in need. And the third one is to engage to create a kind of conducive environment to allow a political process to start. So, Foreign Minister Wuna attended last year AMM. It was some months only after the adoption of the 5-point consensus. And we wanted him to come to listen and to explain what Myanmar is intended to do in order to implement the 5-point consensus. And we were clear with him that progress needs to be made in terms of the implementation of the 5-point consensus. And back to September that year, last year, we had an emergency foreign ministers meeting revising the progress of implementation of the 5-point consensus, and we didn't see any. So there was, I will be frank, there was different views and position about continuing to engage with the Naypyidaw regime by inviting or not inviting a political representative to the summit, the coming summit. And based on the non-consensus, I have to underline the non-consensus among foreign ministers at that time. We respect the decision of the chair of ASEAN at that time, Brunei, to invite a non-political representative to the meeting. That invitation was not accepted by Naypyidaw. Naypyidaw raised the principle of equality, the principle of non-interference, the principle of sovereignty, and asked to be represented at equal level. So it was not possible for IPDAO to appoint a non-political representative, and the chair of Myanmar, the chair, was kept empty. Since then, it became a kind of precedent, a format that we ASEAN continue to follow, and not only ASEAN, but our dialogue partners as well. Remember, at the ASEAN 13, we invited a non-political representative from Myanmar, and they also refused. At the AMM retreat early this year, we tried to invite Foreign Minister of Myanmar to come and to discuss the issue with us. But there were no consensus neither. So, to answer to your question, as long as we, ASEAN 9, consider that the progress is not enough, is not sufficient, is not visible, tangible, to the extent that would allow an equal representation from Myanmar, then we will keep this format. So for the next summit, we will see if a statement from Senior General Mae Aung Hlaing will be translated into reality. There would be tangible, visible progress that would allow us to make an assessment positive for the return of an equal representation of Myanmar to the summit. But until then, what should we do? The recent execution of the activist was considered as a major setback for the effort that we have invested in trying to build trust among parties concerned in Myanmar. This is related to the third priority. Priority to start a political process moving. And during my second visit, we have opened this small window of hope. I would say door, even door. Because we were able to convince the Myanmar authority to accept those they have considered as terrorists to engage and to participate in the peace negotiation with the SARC. I have to underline that until that visit, until this second visit, the SARC was determined not to negotiate in any way with those they considered as terrorists. But the question is, if those they consider as terrorists want to stop the fight, want to negotiate in peace, and ask the Special Envoy to be the mediator, what will be the answer? And if the SARC continue to keep them out of the Myanmar equation, the only choice that they will have would be to continue to fight. And if they continue to fight, then peace could never be found. National reconciliation could never be achieved. And probably this is the reason why the SAC has said, yes, it is possible for them to come and negotiate. But they have put three conditions. The first condition is not coming to destroy the government. I was thinking that if those people change their mind, stop fight, and want to participate in the peace negotiation, it means that they are coming for peace and not for destruction. Secondly, the condition was that those people are not coming to replace the government. But who replace who after the election? The SAC will organize an election next year. It will be up to the people of Myanmar to decide who will lead the country. So, who replace who, lets the people decide. And third, they want the negotiation to be based on the 2008 Constitution. Let me say that the mandate of the Special Envoy is not to go into all those details. The Special Envoy is only a mediator. The Special Envoy will not act on behalf of them. It's up to them to negotiate, it's up to them to decide, it's up to them to vote, and it's up to them to amend the Constitution if there is agreement to amend it, or to change it if there is agreement to change it. So the path to the summit will be the same for the representation. But despite all this setback, as Special Envoy, I won't give up on my effort to continue to help Myanmar and to help the people of Myanmar to not experience the tragedy that Cambodia have experienced. We have been through 3 decades of war and suffering. We know what civil war is about, and we want to avoid the civil war to happen in Myanmar. So this is our position, and for the future, it will be up to Myanmar, to Naypyidaw, to act in a way that would show that progress will be made, and then we will be able to make our decision based on those progress.
Thank you.
Yes?
We are Shanghai Media Group, Tokyo Bureau from China. Do you think there are any regrets about the meetings this time? Since we know that you have had many challenges and tried your best as the host country, but the atmosphere for many meetings were heavy and unpleasant. And in the end, many thorny issues that's being discussed remain unsolved. Would you be worrying?
I beg your pardon because I can hardly hear the last sentence.
In the end, okay.
You mean at the end many issues were not solved?
Yes, in the end, many thorny issues that's being discussed remain unsolved. Would you be worried? Would you worry?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
there was many issues, as I said in my opening remarks. Many issues that are considered as difficult, very difficult, because those issues are international issues and related very closely to the great powers' rivalries in our world that has effect on our region and has effect in the whole world. But those issues are not new. Myanmar issues we are trying to solve. I have been explaining to you a little bit long, but I think it was necessary. The Korean Peninsula has been here for decades. The question of Ukraine and the war that has impact not only on security but also on food, energy to the rest of the world. And the South China Sea and even Taiwan issue are not new. They are not new. They have been here for years, some for decades. For example, for the South China Sea. How do you expect one meeting, the meeting in Phnom Penh, to solve those issues? No. Previous meetings haven't solved those issues. Remember, Secretary Blinken and State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi talked to each other 5 hours in Bali, very recently. President Xi Jinping and President Biden talked on the phone for 2 hours. And Jake Sullivan with Yang Jiechi also have discussion with each other. But still, the Taiwan Strait, the Taiwan issue emerged again. Why? Because of the visit of Madame Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House of America. So this issue was discussed. And if you were at the gala dinner, you would notice that I called all ministers to have their discussion in a calm, dignified, polite, civilized, and diplomatic manner. But the discussion was lively, I have to say. There was strong argument. But from our opinion, it is much better that we exchange words than exchange less friendly means. And the EAS and the ARF are two very important forums for discussion, for dialogue, for cooperation. Those are platforms for foreign ministers to come, to express their views, to exchange their views, to say their differences. That's what the meetings are for. And Here, there were discussions on the Ukraine war, there were discussions on the Taiwan Strait, there were discussions on Myanmar, there was discussion on the Korean Peninsula, on the South China Sea. But not only. If you look at the joint communique, you will see there's so many areas of cooperation that we have discussed on. Especially cooperation to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic, discussion on how to build better our ASEAN community building, cooperation on traditional and non-traditional security threat, and so on and so on. So, issues cannot be solved by one meeting, by two meetings, by many years of meeting. Negotiation take years. Like the issue in Myanmar. After 2 visits of the special envoy, 2 visits only, some people start to lose patience and ask for results. For example, the violence between the military and the ethnic armed group. You have in Myanmar more than 130 ethnic groups. Among them, 20 are armed. Only 10 has signed the national ceasefire agreement with Naypyidaw. But the rest are still continue to fight with the military. How do you want to solve this 7 decades conflict overnight? No. I told the meeting yesterday after my briefing about our effort to help Myanmar. I told them, I'm sorry, I'm just a special envoy. I'm not a superhero, not Superman. And I think that even Superman cannot solve Myanmar problem. So, of course, many problems are still unsolved, but we agree to disagree. That is the beauty of ASEAN way. We agree to continue to discuss, we agree to continue to cooperate with each other, even though we have differences. I should quote the result, the outcome of the phone conversation between President Xi Jinping and President Biden. They said that they were committed to keep the channel of communication open, despite the growing tension between the two countries. They committed to keep the channel of communication open, to manage competition responsibly, to avoid any misunderstanding and miscalculation, and to work together where interests align, and to reaffirm the adherence to one China policy from the US. And I said yesterday during the ARF meeting that if those words and commitment were translated into reality, then we have big hope that our world will be a better place. So let's hope that this commitment will become reality. But the most important thing, despite all our differences, is we continue to talk to each other. Yes, CNA.
Good morning, Deputy Prime Minister. I'm Waikit from CNA. Can I get you to give me an assess? Okay, I want to go back to Myanmar again. You mentioned that the progress has to be visible and tangible. Can you tell me how you plan to measure and assess this visible and tangible progress? And for the rest of ASEAN 9, what are they most ready to do if no progress is made? I also want to ask you about engagement of stakeholders. How do you plan to meaningfully do that when the Myanmar army always limits and controls whom you meet? Do you plan to open more doors yourself and reach out to them via Zoom or phone calls? And one last part, with all this extensive discussion on Myanmar, how is your agenda shaping up for your third trip to Myanmar? Thank you.
I think this will be the last question because right now I should be with the Minister of Timor-Leste. Please, someone ask her to be patient. Well, once again, it's about Myanmar, and it's about how could we measure the progress, because we have said that in absence of progress, the ASEAN 9 will keep the same format for representation of Myanmar. And we try to do our best to make some progress in the implementation of the 5-point consensus. As I told you earlier, the 5-point consensus focus on 3 main priorities: ending violence, delivery of humanitarian assistance, and to start a political process. Well, ending violence is something that is difficult. There are 2 aspects of violence. One, the 7 decades conflict between the military and the ethnic armed groups. And 2, the recent creation of the People Defense Force that has become the armed wing of the NUG, the National United Government, exile government formed after the coup. And I have to say that there is not yet, I haven't seen any sign of will from all parties to stop the fight. The only will I see now is to continue to fight. Why? Because of the lack of trust and the execution of the activists, whether it is legal or illegal, it is according to the court, the sovereignty of the court in Myanmar. We won't have any judgment on that. But the fact is that it is a setback to the build of trust that we are trying to have among the concerned party. And without this trust, the fight will continue, and the political process will never start, because no one will come if they fear for their life. So building trust is the most important thing. And if we cannot stop violence, that's already 1.10. Yeah. Delivery of humanitarian assistance has progressed well. We have had a consultative meeting in Phnom Penh. We have agreed on 2 framework agreements on the delivery of humanitarian assistance, on the vaccination campaign, and we have solved many operational challenges in the delivery of humanitarian assistance. We continue to work with the AHA Center, with the UN specialized agencies, and with donors. Many countries are ready to give. But there are operational challenges, difficulties for them to deliver the assistance. We have asked the ethnic armed group and the political parties outside the SARC to cooperate with us when it comes to the delivery of humanitarian assistance to areas that are difficult to access. And we have received their support. So, sooner or later, better sooner, the assistance will reach those most in need. So we can say that on this point, we have made some progress. So on the third point, I already mentioned, there is this open door that we have achieved during the second visit. That is to allow the people or the organization that the SARC consider as terrorists, and once they are considered as terrorists, they are not permitted to enter into any negotiation, and any country who engage with those terrorists will be considered as, let's say, unfriendly for them. But I have to say, and I've said it clearly with Naypyidaw, the mandate of the Special Envoy is to engage with all parties concerned. All parties concerned, in a way or another. But you have to understand that negotiation usually is done in a discreet, if not in a secret manner. I'm not the kind of person who shout on the top roof about what I'm doing. I give the information, but things that has to be kept confidential, we do it in the confidential way. So, whether they limit me from the meetings with stakeholders in Myanmar or not, that's one problem. Because this is also part of our measurement to show that Naypyidaw has the will to implement the 5-point consensus. So it would be up to them to show us their will and show us the progress we can make on that field. But also I have the liberty as Special Envoy to engage with anyone outside Myanmar. And there is a lot of opportunity to do that. But building trust have to start with someone. Building trust for us has to start with Naypyidaw. We have built many bridges to build trust with them and convince them, and we have succeeded in opening this door, I told you. So should I burn those bridges now? I don't think so. But again, as in my capacity as Special Envoy, I will fulfill my mandate according to the 5-point consensus that was a decision of 10 leaders of ASEAN. It's not Cambodia who decided the 5-point consensus. It's a decision from the 10 leaders, including Senior General My Aung Hlaing. So my mandate will be simple. I will fulfill it. And with regard to the third trip, as I said, I won't give up on my effort to help Myanmar. But this execution was a setback. And all ASEAN 9 has kind of agreed to see how things will evolve in the coming weeks and months. I was planning to do this third trip early September. If between now and then things evolve in a positive way, then we will reconsider this decision, because I have decided to retrieve that plan for the third visit, not to do that third visit on September, especially if, and I say it clearly, publicly, if more executions are conducted, then things will have to be reconsidered. Our position will also have to be reconsidered. And all 9 foreign ministers of ASEAN agree on that position. This is my final response. I thank you very much for your kind attention.